12 shocking and mysterious discoveries in ancient tombs that even top scientists can't explain. Hello, welcome to the latest video on the Ancient History channel. Today, we're about to embark on a journey that is both chilling and mysterious, exploring 12 horrifying and enigmatic discoveries in ancient tombs that even the world's top scientists couldn't fully explain. Have you ever imagined what secrets lie beneath thousands of years of soil? Some tombs contain mummies with strange features so bizarre that experts were left stunned. There are odd artifacts, undeciphered writings, and mysterious stories that send shivers down your spine. In today's video, I'll take you from the dazzling tombs of Egypt to the secretive crypts of Europe, from discoveries hinting at the spiritual world to scientific phenomena that remain unexplained. And believe me, there will be moments that make you wonder, do humans really understand the full story of their own past? Get ready, keep your eyes wide open, and hold on tight, because what's about to be revealed will leave you both amazed and horrified. Now let's begin with our first discovery. The mysterious trap in a Chinese tomb that buried 80 grave robbers alive. When it comes to East Asian culture, especially ancient China, tomb construction was an extremely serious matter. The ancients believed that the afterlife should be as abundant and prosperous as life itself, so they did not hesitate to bury gold, silver, wealth, and even family heirlooms alongside the deceased. And where there is treasure, sooner or later, it will inevitably invite greedy intruders. To protect eternal rest and safeguard their valuables, many powerful families in ancient China devised all sorts of terrifying traps, some rivaling anything seen in movies. Among these traps, one tomb stands out as the most notorious tomb in China, second only to the tomb of Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor. For nearly 1,000 years, no grave robber had ever entered and survived. The story begins in 1981 in Xiangyang City, Hubei Province. When locals were digging foundations for a new house, they accidentally struck a strange stone tablet. Covered in ancient inscriptions, the tablet suggested that an important tomb lay beneath. Authorities were quickly notified, and an archaeological team immediately began excavations. After just a few layers of soil, a massive tomb emerged, an underground structure dozens of feet deep, dating back to the Five Dynasties period, 907 to 960 AD. The owner was identified as a high-ranking noble, far from ordinary. But what truly horrified everyone was not the tomb's scale, it was the gruesome scene inside. As soon as the entrance was opened, experts saw skeletons scattered among the dry sand. The deeper they excavated, the more bodies they found. In total, about 80 sets of remains were uncovered, some missing limbs, others with jaws frozen open, as if they had died in sheer terror. Surprisingly, the skeletons were of different ages. These were not servants buried with their master, but grave robbers who had perished attempting to break in over nearly a millennium. So what could be inside this tomb to claim the lives of 80 intruders? The answer is chilling. The tomb's walls and ceiling were not made of ordinary earth or stone, but of heated, sun-dried sea sand that was completely non-cohesive. This sand was incredibly light and loose. The moment a hole was dug, it would cascade down like a waterfall. As a result, any thief who dug into the tomb would be trapped under the flowing sand, unable to escape, suffocating, and engulfed by darkness and terror until death. Subsequent robbers would step on the remains of those before them, meeting the same fate. This horrifying cycle repeated for centuries like a deadly loop. You might wonder, if the tomb had such a dangerous sand trap, how did archaeologists excavate it without harm? The answer? By the time the archaeological team began excavating in 1981, the sand had already settled, so the deadly flow no longer occurred. And thanks to the trap's perfect operation over the centuries, the tomb's treasures remained almost entirely untouched until modern excavation. From cultural artifacts, jewelry, and burial objects to rare antiquities, everything had been preserved for a millennium, never touched by thieves. It's terrifying to think that something as seemingly harmless as sand became a lethal trap that claimed the lives of 80 grave robbers. And yet, this very cruelty preserved an invaluable historical treasure. Now imagine stepping into such a tomb. Would you have the courage to move forward, or would you turn back before the sand starts cascading down? Nearly 200-year-old corpse remained eerily intact inside an iron coffin. Imagine one day you're walking past a construction site and suddenly hear that workers have just unearthed an iron coffin. Inside, the body appears fresh, even though it has been buried nearly 200 years. How would you react? It sounds like a scene straight out of a horror movie, right? But this story is entirely true, and it happened right in the heart of New York City in October 2018. It all began when a group of construction workers in Queens accidentally discovered an unusual object buried deep underground. As they dug it up, they were startled to find a heavy, tightly sealed iron coffin. Even hearing that alone already gives a sense that something is off, doesn't it? The real shock, however, started when the coffin was opened. Inside was the body of a young woman, her face and skin remarkably preserved, with every feature still clearly visible. At first, the police believed this might be a victim of a recent homicide. The body was far too perfect, far too fresh compared to what should have decayed over time. Who would have guessed that they were looking at someone who had been dead for nearly 170 years? From there, experts took the body for examination, and the results stunned everyone. The woman had lived in the mid-19th century, died between the ages of 25 and 30, and was African American. Based on her height, about 5 feet 3 inches, and her clothing, they could imagine aspects of her life. She wore a silk nightgown typical of the period, a simple knitted cap, and knee-high stockings, details that told the story of a young woman living in a turbulent era of American history. Remarkably, her body had been carefully prepared before burial. She was thoroughly washed, her hair neatly combed, and gently placed inside the special iron coffin. What baffled scientists the most, however, was that the body showed no traces of embalming. No chemicals, no preservation methods, everything was entirely natural. How then had her body survived nearly 200 years underground without decomposing? The answer appears to lie in the iron coffin itself. Its near-perfect seal prevented the intrusion of air, bacteria, and moisture, the primary agents of decay. As a result, her skin remained intact, allowing doctors to even observe small pockmarks from smallpox on her forehead and chest, which is also believed to have caused her early death. The more researchers investigated, the more fascinated they became by the secret the iron coffin had kept for almost 2 centuries. A nearly perfectly preserved body, a story long buried, and insights into 19th century African American burial practices, all revealed by a chance discovery by construction workers. The strange discovery, inside a 5,000-year-old tomb of a Polish father and son, stuns experts. While excavating an ancient site in the peaceful countryside near the town of Sandomierz in the Świętokrzyski province of Poland, experts from the Provincial Archaeological Authority made a discovery that left them both baffled and eerily fascinated. It was a 5,000-year-old tomb containing a father and his child, a story that far exceeds the imagination of modern humans. You know, when the final layer of soil covering the tomb was brushed aside, the first fragments of bone began to reveal a remarkable relationship. Through advanced analytical techniques and archaeological DNA testing, specialists confirmed that the 2 sets of remains belonged to an adult man and a young child, and, as suspected, they were indeed father and son. Establishing a clear biological relationship after thousands of years is rare enough, but the strangest part lay in what was placed beside them. Right next to the father and son's bones were 2 animal feet, one belonging to a bear, the other to a cow, both charred. Upon closer examination, the archaeological team realized that these were not random bone fragments or leftovers from a feast. On the contrary, they were fully intact feet, complete with anatomical structure, deliberately and carefully placed in the tomb. Archaeologist Elżbieta Sieradzka, who directly participated in the excavation, said the discovery left the team stunned for several minutes. No one expected to find a bear foot and a cow foot buried alongside human remains. What made it even more puzzling was that DNA analysis and bone structure studies showed that the feet were not torn from a meal or part of a typical sacrificial ritual. They appeared to have been carefully selected before burial. This raises a major question that experts are still debating. Why 5,000 years ago did the living bury a bear foot and a cow foot with the deceased father and son? Was this a simple spiritual ritual, or did it represent some form of ancient belief meant to send a message to the afterlife? And, more intriguingly, why were these 2 specific animals chosen? According to archaeologists, these were most likely gifts from the living to the deceased father and son as they entered the afterlife. In ancient cultures, objects placed in graves often symbolized support, protection, or provisions for the needs of the dead in the next world. The bear symbolized strength and protection, while the cow represented abundance and prosperity. Perhaps the living wished for the father to be strong in the afterlife while sending blessings of luck and plenty to the young child. However, because the tomb dates back so far, no written records or ritual traces have been found nearby, leaving the interpretation largely speculative. One thing is certain: the presence of these two charred animal feet opens a mysterious window into the spiritual life of humans 5,000 years ago. So, what do you think these special gifts meant? Could they contain a deeper message that modern humans have yet to decode? Share your thoughts in the comments and see which hypothesis matches yours. The mysterious treasure inside a 2,000-year-old tomb in Vietnam. Have you ever imagined that right beneath your feet, in a place you pass by every day, an entire forgotten world could lie hidden for 2,000 years? If not, the story from the Caputra urban area in Hanoi, Vietnam, in April 2011, provides a vivid example of exactly what that might look like. At that time, a construction company installing a drainage system in Caputra accidentally uncovered two ancient tombs nearly 2,000 years old, along with an old well about 650 feet away. The discovery immediately captured national attention in Vietnam due to its historical significance. Archaeologists were equally thrilled, as the artifacts found would allow them to gain deeper insight into the lives of Vietnam's ancestors. The first tomb was revealed when the excavator bucket hit a row of bricks at a depth of about 6.5 feet, uncovering a thick layer of mud roughly 14 inches covering the tomb floor. Workers stopped immediately and reported the find to the Hanoi Heritage Management Board. As the excavator moved about 5 feet to continue digging, it unexpectedly struck the second tomb's roof, breaking part of it and exposing a mud layer filling nearly 1/3 of the tomb. Archaeologists promptly arrived to survey the site. Initial excavation revealed two tombs, one large and one smaller, shallower. Associate Professor Dr. Nguyen Lun Kung of the Vietnam Archaeological Society, then Deputy Secretary General, noted that even in the first few days, he observed what distinguished these tombs from others. Along the outer edge of the tomb roofs ran rows of locking bricks. Viewed from above, the two tombs resembled fish lying parallel to each other in a northwest-southeast orientation, each with a fin-like brick pattern along its back. Dr. Kong said he had never seen tomb-locking bricks like those found here. In the larger tomb, decorative patterns appeared along the brick edges, including circular motifs resembling coins and diamond-shaped inlays. The smaller tomb mostly featured herringbone patterns, with some diamond inlays. A mystery that remains unsolved is that the large tomb contained 40 ancient Chinese characters, left side representing earth, right side representing wood. Dr. Kwong consulted several sinology experts, not Han Nam specialists, about these characters, but to this day, their meaning remains unknown. During excavation, experts found a total of 28 artifacts in the large tomb: 16 bowls, plates, and ceramic jars with and without glaze, 9 rusted iron nails, a single blue glass bead, a rectangular pale blue stone slab, and a thin bronze bowl, broken into pieces. In the mud at the bottom, they also discovered a layer of charred rice and grains. While cleaning the artifacts, archaeologists uncovered 2 small bowls containing charred rice and grains, some still with stems and part of the husk. The grains were oval to round, measuring about 0.07 to 0.10 inches long to wide ratio. The smaller tomb revealed fewer but rare items. Only 5 ceramic artifacts, including a beautifully crafted chicken-headed ceramic jar with clearly defined comb, eyes, and tail, likely the most valuable item of this excavation. Both tombs contained no traces of wooden coffins or human remains. According to Dr. Kwong, this was due to decomposition over time, as seen in most northern Vietnam burials during the period of Chinese rule. Based on brick size and ceramic features, he concluded that both tombs date back to the 6 Dynasties period, roughly 4th to 6th century CE, with the larger tomb slightly older than the smaller one. The ancient well, located about 650 feet away, had several rows of bricks destroyed by the excavator, but its structure remained largely intact. The bricks inside the well spanned multiple periods, from the 6th century to the 15th century, demonstrating the long-term habitation of the area along the Red River on the outskirts of the old Dai La citadel. Late educator and Hanoi scholar Nguyen Vinh Phuc noted that the area where the tombs and well were found was likely once a town or administrative center of the Jiao Chou region, where many Han-era graves had been discovered. He commented that finding 2 tombs and a well in Saputra was not unusual. Where there are people living, there must also have been water and graves. However, what made this excavation special were the artifacts never before seen in Hanoi, including bronze vessels, iron nails, and rice and grain, all reflecting the rich and prosperous past of the people living there. Now, imagine how many other pieces of history might still lie hidden beneath today's modern structures, waiting to be discovered. The world remains mysterious, and we can never know what secrets lie beneath our feet. 2. Extremely rare silver dragons found in a Xiongnu noble tomb. Imagine someone telling you that in the vast Mongolian steppes, where the only sounds are the howling wind and the distant thundering of horse hooves, there exists a tomb holding secrets for over 2 millennia. Would you believe it? It sounds like a movie plot, but in reality, archaeologists have literally opened such a time portal. What shocked them most, though they tried to remain professionally calm, were 2 incredibly rare silver dragons lying deep within the tomb. The story begins in northern Mongolia, once the heartland of the Xiongnu, a nomadic people renowned both for their martial prowess and their mysterious ways. When a joint team of Chinese and Mongolian archaeologists excavated the area, everyone expected to find only a few pottery shards or minor artifacts. No one anticipated that they had stumbled upon a noble tomb dating back to around 25 CE, so ancient that, if the tomb could speak, it probably would have already collected its retirement pension. The surprise didn't end there. When the tomb lid was opened, the team felt like they had stepped into an ancient general store. Jade belt hooks, exquisite jewelry, wooden cups, horse reins, even a chariot and various weapons. Just by looking at these items, it was clear that the tomb's occupant was no ordinary person, but a wealthy noble who traveled with his treasures to demonstrate his status. But the most remarkable discovery came while the team was busy cataloging the artifacts. In one corner of the tomb lay 2 gleaming objects, quietly waiting. When the dust of centuries was brushed away, they revealed themselves. 2 silver dragon statues gilded with gold, shining as if they had been polished yesterday. Even the archaeologists, normally composed, couldn't hide their amazement. In East Asian culture, dragons symbolize supreme power. To possess 2 intricately crafted silver dragons, down to the horns, eyes, teeth, and scales, indicated not only immense wealth, but also very high social status at the time. And consider this, the Xiongnu were nomadic horse archers. Most would assume they placed little importance on delicate artistic objects, yet these dragons prove otherwise. The Xiongnu were not only formidable on the battlefield, but they also possessed remarkable aesthetic sensibilities and extraordinary metalworking skills. Moreover, archaeologists suggest that these 2 dragon statues might be evidence that the Xiongnu had extensive cultural exchanges with neighboring civilizations. They could have traded with the Chinese or learned techniques from even more distant artistic traditions. Every engraved detail seems to whisper, "We are not only feared warriors, we are also skilled artists." What started as a routine excavation turned into a fascinating story of history, culture, and creativity, revealing a people who once dominated the steppes in more ways than one. Truly remarkable, isn't it? 60 mysterious mummies from the New Kingdom, found in Egypt's Valley of the Kings. When people think of ancient Egypt, they immediately picture the pyramids, the powerful pharaohs, and mysteries that have baffled humanity for thousands of years. But recently, a new archaeological discovery in the Valley of the Kings has once again sent shockwaves through the research community. A team from the University of Basel in Switzerland unexpectedly uncovered a large tomb containing nearly 60 royal mummies, dating back to Egypt's 18th dynasty, the New Kingdom period, roughly 1590 to 1078 BCE. The story began when Egypt's Minister of Antiquities, Muhammad Ibrahim, announced that the team had accessed a tomb carved deep into the cliffs on the west bank of the Nile, over 435 miles south of Cairo. This is the Valley of the Kings, a site ancient Egyptians considered a gateway to the afterlife. where pharaohs and the most powerful nobles secured their eternal journey. Inside the newly discovered tomb, archaeologists found not only mummies, but also a living archive of royal life during the New Kingdom. Wooden coffins were meticulously crafted, and death masks modeled in linen and plaster still retained their original form after more than 3,000 years. Every artifact seemed to tell a story, preserving the identity and status of its occupant. Even more astonishing were the hieroglyphs engraved on clay pots scattered throughout the tomb. They revealed the names and titles of 30 princesses from the lineages of pharaohs Thutmose IV and Amenhotep III, rulers during the peak of Egypt's glory. Among these were two previously unknown princesses, Ta-Imwag-Iz and Neferonebo, whose names had never appeared in any historical record. This discovery not only carries immense archaeological value, but also adds new pieces to the puzzle of ancient Egypt's royal lineage. To grasp the magnitude of this find, it's important to remember that the Valley of the Kings is already one of the largest archaeological treasure troves in the world. Over 500 years, from the 16th to the 11th centuries BCE, Egyptians built tombs here for the highest-ranking rulers. By 2008, archaeologists had discovered 63 tombs, including the largest, which contained 120 chambers, a true underground world where the Egyptians spent decades carving out tombs in preparation for the afterlife. Many will recall the legendary discovery of Pharaoh Tutankhamun's tomb in 1922. That moment turned Luxor and its surroundings into a global tourist destination, a land where even a single grain of sand could hide a 3,000-year-old story. And now, with the excavation of this tomb holding nearly 60 royal mummies, the Valley of the Kings once again affirms its status as an inexhaustible treasure trove. Every new discovery not only amazes archaeologists, but also leaves us in awe of the intelligence, faith, and spiritual strength of ancient Egyptians. Just imagine, beneath a harsh desert, under layers of rock that protected them for 3 millennia, an entire dynasty has lain in silence, waiting for modern humans to find it. How many untold stories might still lie hidden there? How many princesses, princes, or even pharaohs remain asleep? The very thought is enough to stir your curiosity, and as we await the next excavation, who knows what secrets archaeologists will reveal next? Massive treasure found in the tomb of an Aztec king, beneath Templo Mayor. When people think of the Aztec Empire, many immediately picture brave warriors, mysterious rituals, and a civilization both dazzling and delicately balanced between life and the divine. But what you may not know is that among countless stories, the most recent discovery at Templo Mayor, the main temple of ancient Tenochtitlan, might be one of the most astonishing finds in decades. In what was considered the heart of Aztec civilization, a research team from the National Institute of Anthropology and History of Mexico uncovered an enormous and extraordinary treasure: 180 coral branches, 165 bright red starfish, and numerous sacred animals including jaguars, wolves, and eagles, all arranged as if they were actual Aztec warriors. These were not simply animal remains. They were intricately adorned with precious items, appearing ready to step into a sacred battle. Yet the most striking image was that of a jaguar clutching an eagle in its paws, symbolizing the cosmic struggle between two spiritual creatures representing power and authority in the Aztec worldview. A wolf, meanwhile, was equipped like a warrior, with an atlatl spear at its side, small bronze bells tied around its ankles, and a belt decorated with finely carved wooden discs. Every detail astonished scientists, reflecting both the craftsmanship and the solemnity of these ancient rituals. These remarkable treasures were not placed in the tomb haphazardly. Experts believe they were boxed and buried roughly 520 years ago as part of a royal sacrificial ceremony. The Aztecs believed that kings embodied divine power, and preparing them for the afterlife required the most sacred and potent offerings. In Aztec belief, jaguars, wolves, and eagles symbolized courage, strength, and battlefield authority. Spanish records describe funerary rituals for 3 Aztec kings who ruled from 1469 to 1502. According to these accounts, their cremated remains were buried with countless treasures, accompanied by the hearts of sacrificed slaves, ensuring that the kings entered the afterlife with full power and divine escort. Today, these records are illuminated by the Templo Mayor discovery, leading experts to suggest that the treasure may be linked to the tomb of King Ahuitzotl, one of the most powerful Aztec rulers who expanded the empire to its greatest extent. Joyce Marcus, an expert from the University of Michigan, notes that these offerings may reveal key aspects of Aztec cosmology, especially the complex rituals used to sanctify war. For the Aztecs, warfare was not merely territorial, it was a sacred act meant to empower the gods. Therefore, the burial of a king had to reflect that divine authority. This newly excavated treasure is more than a collection of valuable items. It is a spiritual map of an entire civilization. It tells us how the Aztecs viewed the world, how they revered strength, and what they believed awaited beyond the boundary of life. A 1,000-year-old pure gold treasure and 31 sacrificial human remains in the tomb of a Panamanian chief. Deep in the dense jungles of Panama, where most people imagine only wind, soil, and the oral traditions of indigenous people, archaeologists made a discovery that stunned the research world. It was a find that truly changed history. Beneath the seemingly peaceful soil lay a cache of pure gold buried with a tribal chief more than 1,200 years ago. What makes the discovery even more chilling is that this wasn't just the tomb of a single chief. It was also the final resting place of dozens of others, victims of sacrificial rituals from a long-forgotten era. The tomb is located within El Caño Archaeological Park, once considered the ceremonial center of the ancient Cocle tribe. When the archaeological team removed the first layers of soil, they were immediately overwhelmed by the sparkling golden glow from within. It wasn't just one or two items, but an entire treasure trove buried with the chief. There were intricately crafted bracelets, 2 belts made of tiny gold beads, each bead shaped with astonishing precision, crocodile-shaped earrings symbolizing power and sanctity, and gold earrings set with whale teeth. All of these reflected the exceptional status of the person buried there. But the discoveries didn't stop there. Experts also found round gold discs, male and female-shaped earrings, 2 small bells, a skirt made of dog teeth, and notably, a set of flutes crafted from bone. These items were not only valuable in material terms, but also provide critical insight into the ceremonial and religious systems of the time. They indicate that the chief was no ordinary person, but held a position of significant authority, likely overseeing sacred rituals within the tribe. Preliminary assessments suggest the man buried in the tomb was around 30 years old and belonged to the ruling class of the era. However, the number of people buried alongside him remains a mystery. Excavation continues, and each layer of soil uncovers more questions than answers. Dr. Julia Mayo, director of the El Caño organization and lead archaeologist, revealed a detail that sent chills through many. There may have been as many as 31 sacrificial victims buried with the chief. This underscores the immense power and influence he wielded within his community. Even more striking, the chief was buried face down, positioned on top of a woman's body. This arrangement was clearly intentional, carrying ritual or traditional significance that time has long buried. Hearing this, one can't help but wonder, what made a person so revered that an entire treasure of gold and dozens of lives would be buried with him? What rituals took place on that final night before the tomb was sealed? And how many more secrets remain hidden in those deep layers of soil? The journey of discovery is far from over, and each new finding promises even more fascinating stories. Hopefully, experts will soon decode these ancient mysteries. We can only watch closely to see what this 1,200-year-old past will reveal to our modern world next. "3,001 legendary swords guarding a tomb beneath a lake for 2,000 years. Did you know that in ancient China, people held a strange but very earthly belief? The way you lived in life should be mirrored in death. In other words, death had to be prepared for just as carefully as life itself. They believed that if a tomb was strong enough and its treasures abundant, the deceased could continue a prosperous existence in the afterlife, just as they had in the mortal world. From this belief, countless massive tombs were constructed, hidden deep within mountains, beneath lakes, or in remote forests where no one dared to tread. But among them, few are as mysterious as the tomb of King Wu of Wu, famed for the legend of 3,001 swords, guarding it for more than 2 millennia. King Wu, also known as Prince Guang, was the 24th ruler of the state of Wu during the late spring and autumn period. Under his reign served brilliant strategists like Wu Zixu and Sun Wu, the author of The Art of War. For anyone familiar with China's ancient dynasties, Just hearing this evokes a turbulent era of warring states and fierce battles. Despite his power, the state of Wu ultimately fell to Yue, and King Wu died of severe wounds, leaving his great ambitions unfulfilled. In mourning, his son constructed a strong, fortified tomb at the foot of Tiger Hill. But this tomb was no mere burial site. It was a virtually impregnable fortress. According to the Wei Tuyet Shu of ancient China, the tomb was placed under a lake nearly 6.5 feet deep. This body of water served as both a natural barrier and a perfect camouflage, baffling generations of archaeologists who could find nothing. On top of that, the ancients poured mercury, a deadly poison, inside the tomb to preserve the body and deter anyone who might dare approach. What sets King Wu's tomb apart, however, is the legendary 3001 bronze swords said to have been buried around the tomb, forming a circle like an immortal army. Though no one has ever seen them firsthand, ancient descriptions and folklore have made these swords a symbol of mystery and power. One famous story recounts that when King Gujian of Yue, who defeated King Wu, came to visit the site, he suddenly encountered a ferocious tiger near the lake. The struggle was so intense that he had to throw a precious sword into the water to subdue the beast. From that moment, locals called the place Sword Lake, evoking both danger and a thousand-year-old enigma. It wasn't until 1978 that Chinese archaeologists dared to attempt what no one had before, draining the lake. As the water receded and the mud was cleared, a triangular-shaped cave appeared. Just as described in the ancient texts, the tomb's location was finally confirmed. Yet the excitement was short-lived. Excavation proved extremely difficult. The tomb had been submerged for so long, and the mercury inside was so toxic that even the slightest mistake could be fatal. To this day, although the tomb's location is known, most of its secrets remain intact. The 3001 swords, the very symbol of this legend, have only been described in stories. No one has yet confirmed their existence. But that, in fact, is what makes this mystery so fascinating. So, what truly lies beneath that lake? Are the 3001 swords just a legend? Or does an entire metallic army sleep silently under the water for over 2,000 years? And when the tomb is finally opened, how will history be rewritten? What do you think? Should it remain a secret for another 1,000 years, or should archaeologists continue to unearth it? A 1,700-year-old bottle of wine from an ancient tomb still drinkable today. If there were any artifact that could show time as frozen, a 1,700-year-old Roman wine bottle would surely be a top contender. This bottle was unearthed by archaeologists in a Roman tomb dating to around 325 AD. Inside the same tomb, alongside the intact bottle, were a few broken bottles and the skeletal remains of a man and a woman. Based on the accompanying burial items, experts believe the man held a relatively high status in Roman society at the time. The wine bottle was not merely a grave good, it was prepared for his journey to the afterlife. But what makes this wine bottle legendary is that it has remained unopened for 17 centuries. Just thinking about that gives you chills, right? No one has dared to open it, not because of superstition, but because once the seal is broken, air entering the bottle could instantly damage the liquid inside. That would erase its entire historical, archaeological, and scientific value. According to experts, the bottle holds roughly 50 ounces and is made of yellow-green glass, with a handle shaped like a finely crafted fish. At the bottom, a layer of clear liquid rests beneath a golden-brown mixture, visually stunning and strange, like a liquid treasure preserved by time itself. However, researchers now believe this mixture no longer tastes like wine. Over the millennia, it is transformed into a unique liquid entirely different from its original form. So how did it survive so long? The secret lies in the wax seal used to close the bottle. Today, we typically use corks, which decay over time and allow wine to evaporate. Wax, on the other hand, does not. Thanks to this perfect seal, combined with a thick layer of olive oil on top, a preservation method used by the Romans, the liquid inside was able to survive to this day. Interestingly, while microbiologically the liquid might still be non-toxic, experts agree that its flavor is no longer appealing. In other words, drinking it probably won't kill you, but don't expect a delightful taste experience. Ludger Tecampa, head of the Speyer wine preservation team, admitted that no one really knows exactly what is inside. This uncertainty is what fuels the ongoing debate. Should the bottle be opened or left sealed? Open it and you risk losing history. Leave it closed and curiosity lingers. A true dilemma. Today, this 1,700-year-old Roman wine bottle remains one of the most popular exhibits at the Palatinate Museum. Visitors flock to see this survivor of time in person, and everyone leaves with the same question: what's really inside? What about you? If you had the chance to stand in front of this bottle, would you dare to open it? Or would you let its mystery sleep for another 1,000 years? 17 skeletons in a strange ancient tomb, hidden beneath a pond. Have you ever imagined that right beneath the calm surface of an ordinary pond, there could lie a chilling secret for over 1,000 years? In Tam Quan Mu village, Qiang, Shandong province, China, such a shocking discovery left archaeologists stunned. When the water was drained for cleaning, no one expected that beneath the mud would emerge an ancient tomb spanning about 3,230 square feet, a space large enough to tell a haunting story from ancient times. The moment experts stepped inside, the first thing that gave them goosebumps was the discovery that the tomb's occupants seemed to have brought an entire farm into the grave. They found countless animal bones, poultry, cattle, and even tiny rodent ribs. It was as if the ancient people wanted to recreate everyday life even in the afterlife. But the story did not end there. The more experts examined the layers of soil, the more disturbing the findings became. They uncovered the skeletons of 2 children, a detail that alone caused everyone present to pause in shock. As the excavation expanded, the full truth began to emerge. A total of 17 human skeletons were buried in this mysterious tomb. The remains included men, women, the elderly, and children, as if an entire group had experienced a horrifying event together over 1,000 years ago. The strangest part? There were absolutely no clues to identify these people. No gravestones, no clear burial items, nothing to indicate their social status. Only the silent skeletons remained, lying closely together, as if they had witnessed something no one dared to tell. It is precisely this eerie silence that makes the tomb one of the greatest mysteries in Chinese archaeology. Based on the tomb's construction and burial style, experts can only speculate that it dates back to the late Eastern Han Dynasty, a period marked by turmoil, war, and disease. Were the 17 people victims of a natural disaster, or were they part of some strange ritual? All of it remains speculation, as no concrete evidence can confirm the cause. One thing is certain: this discovery sent shockwaves through the archaeological community. A tomb lying undisturbed beneath a pond for over a millennium, containing human and animal bones and countless unanswered questions. That is what excites and terrifies researchers alike. And it leaves the rest of us wondering, what really happened in that dark space? Why were 17 people buried together? What could have caused a group of people of all ages to meet their final rest in the same place? Were they victims of a major catastrophe, or is there an even deeper secret waiting to be uncovered? Share your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think happened in that ancient tomb? 200 elixir pills in an 1,800-year-old ancient tomb. In traditional East Asian culture, tombs and burial practices held great importance, reflecting the belief that a proper interment could bring peace to the living. In China, burial customs were diverse, ranging from single tombs to couple burials and multi-generational family tombs. One of the most notable archaeological discoveries in recent history involves a couple's tomb excavated in Xiangshan, near Nanjing, China, during the 1960s. This tomb dates back to the Eastern Jin Dynasty, 317 to 420 AD, and contained many valuable artifacts, including gilded porcelain plates and gold and silver jewelry. Most remarkable among these findings were over 200 elixir pills placed beside the tomb's occupant. Although the body of the tomb owner had completely decomposed, the epitaph provided invaluable information. The tomb belonged to Wang Bin, a powerful official of the Eastern Jin Dynasty and the uncle of the famous calligrapher Wang Xizhi. The woman buried with him was his daughter, Wang Danhu. Wang Danhu was born in 302 AD and died in 360 AD, living to the age of 58. Notably, she had never married, a rare occurrence in ancient times when women typically wed around the age of 16. Experts later verified that the pills in the tomb were a famous type of elixir from the Wei Jin period called wushitan, 5-stone powder. Wushitan was originally invented by Zhang Zhongjing, a renowned physician of the late Eastern Han Dynasty, and was initially used to treat common colds. By the Wei Jin period, it had become a highly sought-after elixir among the nobility, believed to prolong life and grant immortality. Users believed that the pills could extend their lifespan. However, using wushitan often caused unusual symptoms, which were later understood as the result of improper consumption. Modern science has since proven that the belief in wushitan's life-extending properties was mistaken. Chemical analysis of the pills revealed that they contained mercury sulfide, an extremely toxic substance. Ingesting mercury sulfide can damage the nervous system, impair reproductive health, and even cause death from heavy metal poisoning. Still, the question remains, did these pills contribute to Wang Danhu's death? This mystery persists, as her body has fully decomposed and can no longer provide definitive answers. However, the presence of the elixir pills in her coffin demonstrates the tomb owner's obsessive belief in wushitan. Experts speculate that Wang Danhu may have been influenced by her father to consume the pills in hopes of achieving immortality, which could also explain why she never married. As you can see, the ancient world is always full of mysteries, leaving us with countless things that are hard to understand. Which of the discoveries we covered today impressed you the most? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to give our channel a like and subscribe so you won't miss any of our other fascinating discoveries. For now, goodbye and see you next time.